Hello, everyone, and welcome to
Hello!
High Five Live. We are so excited to have the Barnes with us today. And as we get going, and we apologize, we had a little technical difficulty, but we're on the road now. And
Woohoo!
we're excited. And as you watch and listen, we would love to know where you are listening and watching from. So put that in the comments and any other thing that you would like to let us know you're thinking about or any questions you have. Please just comment. And please share this video too, especially while it's live so others can watch it. We are grateful for High Five Live and offering us this opportunity to talk with the Barnes this morning. And you can watch their videos every day to be inspired and to learn. So we actually, and I need to tell you that my husband is not here, and Charlotte was going to go solo also, and we were going to be spouseless. But Jonah, at the last minute, was able to come with us. So we're excited for that.
Parachuted in from work. Made it here from work.
That's right. He worked really hard to be here. So we're appreciative of that. And my husband and I met these two in person. We knew about them, but we met them when we were doing a digital fireside for a group called Our Turtle House. And that will be actually aired on the 16th on their digital fireside on Sundays.
Yep, on YouTube.
What's that?
On YouTube.
Yes, on YouTube. So anyway, so let me just tell you a little bit about these two. They are amazing. And we feel privileged to have them with us today.
Oh, go on. Go on.
They actually met doing family history in the BYU Family History Library. I love that. It's just so cool. Let's see. They've spoken at Roots Tech, trained family history consultants, done extensive research about their own ancestors, and you can talk about why. I'd love to have you share that story, Jonah. And most recently, they published a little book called Turning Little Hearts. So it's like a big book about little hearts. It's really cute. It's here, and we'll talk about it some more. We love it. And it has over 90 activities to connect children with their ancestors, and it is fantastic. They do have 6 children, and they live in Washington, where they make the world's best bagels, and we can learn more about that. They cut that bio down, but we'll just go for that for now. We'll go with that for now.
That's really all. That's all.
Those are the highlights.
Yeah, there's so many fun things. So how did you both get interested in family history in the beginning? Like, why were you at the library in college doing family history?
Well, I was doing it for a class that I took. I don't even know why I took the class.
Coerced.
I think it was one of my last semesters, and I was just trying to fill up my credit so I could be a full-time student. I really wasn't interested, but I took it, and I was doing a project for that, and I was in the library. But you...
Was I in the class, too?
Actually, it was the same semester. Different classes.
Yeah, we were both coerced into doing it. And one of those rare times that taking a class really does pique your interest and you really do love and say, I'm going to keep doing this. And so I was sitting and doing family history, and she was doing family history. She gets up and walks towards me, and
I said...
And I went, like a deer.
I said, don't I know you? And the rest is history.
What year is it?
Fine.
What year is it? Where am I? And
he actually... I think, didn't you lie and tell me you were doing something else? So I asked you what you were working on because you were so embarrassed that you were working on family history.
I didn't want to admit that I was doing family, because no 24-year-olds do family history.
That's not cool.
So I didn't want to admit it, and so I made something else up. That's true.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what you feel. In fact, maybe you could define family culture as we begin here, talking about how to improve it, how to strengthen our family culture. What's your definition?
Yeah, family culture is the values and the likes and the interests and the morals, the priorities that you have in your family, that you set for your family. So similar to a country having culture, a family can have a culture.
Culture is what grows you. to be literal, right? That's what the word means. Agriculture, culture, to cultivate.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, think of like in science class when your teacher would get out a petri dish. Remember that? They get a little petri dish and they put some stuff in it and see what grows. That another word for a petri dish is culture. You get a culture?
Yes.
So,
That it makes total sense.
Yeah, so family culture is what grows your family. It is what grows your children. You can't make them turn out the way you want. You can't just make your family whatever. You can't just create it out of thin air. You have to grow it, like watering flowers in a garden, like fertilizing it, like soil, like sunshine, like all these things that help it grow. So that's what cultivates your family culture.
And I love how when we were talking about a title for this discussion, you said creating a strong family culture or cultivating a strong family culture. And I loved that comparison because create, I looked at the definition, create is just to bring something into existence. That sounds, it could be kind of easy sometimes. I think of Jackson Pollock, right, just throwing paint on the canvas, right, just creating, right, as opposed to cultivating, which is what you do to grow crops, right? You're preparing the soil, you're making sure it gets the right sun, the water, everything. It's hard work is cultivating.
And patience.
And you have to begin with the seed that you want to eat at the end, right? So you've probably heard this phrase, begin with the end in mind. So just like when you're farming and cultivating, you begin with the end in mind, with the end product you want to eat. When you're with your family and you're creating the culture that you want, you begin with the end in mind. What outcomes do you want? And then you plan accordingly. Okay, what can I do now that will most likely make that happen?
Oh, I love that. So with all of that in mind, let's discuss, and you guys just go for this, okay? Talk to us about how knowing your ancestors and knowing what came before you and connecting with the past helps our families and not just children, but all of us grow that culture and encourage that the bonding that comes from actually including family history in our efforts.
Oh boy, do you have 6 hours?
I know. You love this and we love this, but we'll try and just keep
we could go on forever. Yeah.
So science has shown that children who know their family stories are more confident, more resilient. They benefit from this sense of belonging to something bigger than themselves. So we know that it's important. And we know that they can get strength from it, that they can use when they're little, but that strength and the insights and the perspective that they get from knowing about their ancestors, that those benefits will carry with them through their whole life. And as we're helping them learn, it also helps us as parents and as grandparents, as aunts and uncles and everything. So we know from science and also from Revelation, they agree that family history helps. It's not just a task that we have to do. It is a parenting and grandparenting tool with huge benefits.
And science is research is finally catching up with the revelation, right? Prophets and apostles, they've been telling us this for a long time. The Church of Jesus Christ has been doing family history 100 years before anybody else ever got interested in it. And even in the scriptures, if you think about right when the Book of Mormon begins, the very first, you open the scene on the Book of Mormon, and what is it? It's a family rushing back to Jerusalem to get their family history. Before they go, they're never going to risk raising children or grandchildren without their family history. And so they stop and they turn back to get it. And one excellent demonstration of this, Nephi, who understands the power of family history, says to his brothers, after they've tried twice to get their genealogy and failed, he says to his brothers, guys, we can do this. Think back to our fathers and how Moses led them across the Red Sea on dry ground away from Pharaoh. And he makes this wonderful parallel. He says, even as our fathers were delivered from Pharaoh, so we shall be delivered from Laban. And even Laban and Lemuel go, okay, all right, well, that's true. And it convinces Laban and Lemuel. So finally the research that my wife spoke of is catching up with the revelation. We know from all sides, all quarters, any way you look at it, family history makes your children more resilient, more emotionally stable, happier, and it makes your family higher functioning.
Yeah. In addition to all those wonderful benefits, it enriches your family as well. As we've shared stories and done family history activities with our children, they've been wonderful highlights. And even just the other day, we were driving by a cemetery, just a cemetery on the side of the road. We don't have any relatives buried there. And my 6-year-old daughter peeks out the window. Oh, that's a cemetery. I remember going to one and rubbing my crayon on them. And she just started talking about cemeteries. And I thought, oh, what a wonderful, enriching thing that we, in our efforts to make family history a part of our family culture, we make this great memory together. And so, again, with the country's culture and family culture, countries are deeply influenced. Their culture is deeply influenced by their history, right? It's music, it's clothes, everything. It's their history that deeply affects their current culture. And also, and same with us, as we are, in more ways than we could even count, are deeply affected by our ancestors, the decisions they made, the personalities they had, the places they lived, the jobs they had, the religions they joined. All these things were so affected. And with that, countries spend money promoting, cherishing, enriching, preserving, sharing their histories, right? They
build monuments,
grants,
parades,
cultural events.
They name their streets and their squares and their states. We're in Washington State.
It's true. Yeah.
Their cities and things, all after preserving this history. It all is born of history.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can show this first slide here.
Got a great slide here.
You mentioned cemeteries. So this is a picture, a photograph of myself and a mission companion in Buryatia, Siberia. So this is north of Mongolia, where I serve my mission. And the wonderful people there have this very interesting culture around their cemeteries. They build a little fence, a gated little fence around their grave sites of their loved ones with a door, and they put a bench, and you can see we're sitting on a bench with a little table there, and they decorate it with a million flowers. Yeah, it's a lot of flowers. And they put a little table and a bench so that the family periodically, maybe on their birthday or holiday, can come bring their tea and their whatever snacks, and they can sit with their loved one at their gravesite, and they'll talk to their grave and things like that. But it's talk about connections with your past. Talk about connections with your deceased ancestry. I mean, they believe, they're not just putting up a gravestone to drive by on the freeway or to lay a flower on once a year. They'll go and sit and remember and talk about them and tell stories about them. And it's a wonderful way to keep families connected through the veil,
I love that.
Yeah.
And you'll notice also in this picture, I love it. Many of these gravestones, you'll see the big one inside the little garden. There's a face. You can see an image of who was there. And all these ones in the background, they have pictures too. That's something I've noticed in Central Asia. They often will have a photograph or an etching of the person's face. And I think that helps just make them more real and present to those who are visiting.
Yeah. And so we were talking about countries. I don't think perhaps we appreciate, I know that the Andersons do, but I know that perhaps we don't appreciate how odd it is that we're not more connected with our ancestry. Other nations
in modern America,
in modern Western culture, other nations and previous generations have been far more aware of their ancestry. This is an example, this slide right here from England. This is the heraldry that somebody would have displayed in their manor or whatever. And you can see that the crests split in the middle, and you can see there's kind of one crest in the top left corner, and then another in the top right, and then the bottom right and the bottom left. And the diamond-shaped one has all these different crests piled all over each other. And what this is an accumulation of, this is like kind of like an old fan chart, right? Somebody's saying, this is my ancestry, and these are all my ancestors and the families that we come from. And it shows their heraldry. They were very aware of their ancestry. And the next one, this is in Asia, right? This is in China. some of this has been discouraged of late by the communists, but this is a shrine to ancestors. Now, a lot of Westerners see this and they say, oh, it's ancestor worship. Well, they don't have the same idea of worship that we do anyways. It's
ancestor
Eastern
honoring.
Yeah, they're honoring and revering their ancestors. They put up pictures, they light candles to them, and they'll talk to them, and they'll ask them for favors and things like that. So they're very keenly aware of where they came from. Where did...
I skipped it. Sorry.
Oh, you skipped
The Kyrgyz one.
This is... so we lived in the Republic of Kyrgyzstan. We were amazed at how the people knew their genealogy, and they could recite it to you. I mean, 7 generations. And they weren't genealogists at all. The man that we stayed with was 20-something-year-old man, and he could just recite 7 generations off, and it was amazing. So I don't think we appreciate how strange it is that the average Westerner is not more aware of where they come from and who they come from. So.
Wow, so interesting.
What else?
So, with all that in mind, what do you suggest? What ideas do you have for our audience about how to do this in your own home?
Great question. Well, first of all, you can go to your amazing website, Family History Guide. So full of great ideas. It's
Step
incredible.
Thanks for the plug. Yeah, that is the free site, and all you need to do is type the Family History Guide in your browser. And seriously, It does have a ton of ideas and ways to do research, step-by-step help, and it's awesome. Thank you for mentioning that.
So many activity ideas for all ages, for all whatever you're doing. It's amazing. We just have a few little ideas we'd like to share with you. Our number one thing that we always tell people is pictures and stories. This is a photograph of us at our dinner table. We have this family tree and then lots of pictures on the sides of different ancestors. These are just dollar.
I love that. Look at that. And that's there all the time.
They're right there. And having their pictures present reminds us to talk about them. If that wasn't there, we probably would have a fraction of the conversations that we do, because when we're at the dinner table, we see their pictures and just start talking about
and I got to say, it's great having it by the dinner table. Yeah. There's lots of other wonderful places, that they can be, and they're also awesome. But by the dinner table is the best, because you're all there. It's the end of the day. You're all gathered, and then you just look up and you can tell a story. So we highly recommend that.
And there's so many different ways you can do it. Look online. You can put up pictures, just a jumble of pictures. You can put a tree motif, whatever you want. But
don't worry. They can be crooked.
Ours are usually crooked and covered with food.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Anyway, it's the stories that connect. It doesn't have to look nice or Instagramish. Just put them up.
Not Pinterest perfect, right?
That's right.
Not Pinterest perfect. I have to say, I am not crafty, but I do what I can to help my kids learn their family history stories. Okay, this is just a little collage I put together. So, number 1, this is our daughter. It's a black and white little photograph of the Lord's Prayer in Swedish, which is something that one of our ancestors had. And she just took crayons and colored it in. So if you have any black and white photos of your ancestors, you can copy it and give it to your children with crayons, and they can color it. And that makes it personal. Number 2, this is my kids after having read a journal entry of one of my ancestors' traumatic birth experiences at her home in the middle of a storm. And so they just thought it was a crazy story.
That's why they're making these horrible faces.
So it's just fun to read. If you have any letters or journal entries, see if the kids can even read it, because sometimes it's, script that is hard to read. And so that's fun to do that. Number 3, this is a very simple thing anyone can do, I Spy. You open up some old family portraits, and this is a photo album that has their grandmother as a teenager and as a little girl. So we would say, can you spy grandma as a teenager? And they try and find her. And in all the pictures, they just kept trying to find grandma. So,
and what's really funny is that sometimes they'd say, hey, it's me.
Because they look like her. Yes, they can see themselves.
Hey, there's me. Because they look so much like their grandmother, which is an awesome connection to make. Say, yes, it does look just like you because you look like your grandmother. It's great.
And then number 4, we learned that my grandma's my mother's favorite flower is a daffodil, so we went to visit some daffodils and talked about grandma and daffodils. And so we do this with a number of flowers. Whenever we see flowers that we know an ancestor liked, we point it out. But you can do this with if there was a job your ancestor had, or a favorite animal they had, or a favorite place they went. Go there, experience it, and it'll be great. Okay, number 5. This is a really quick and easy one. I just opened up Family Search, and my kids looked for funny and interesting names. So if you look closely, I had them write the funny names they found. We've got Belcher, Fanny. You can see why little boys would like those. Yes, and then we even, our another little son liked the name Guy and Lycurgus. These were all funny family names. And, we didn't really learn anything about these specific people, but it was just fun to get on Family Search and find these funny names. And then number 6, this is when my mom came to visit. She, at the dinner table, she told us some stories about her father. And then we had milk toast, which is just a piece of toast buttered with milk over it. And that was his favorite treat. And the kids all thought it was kind of soggy and strange, but it was a very wonderful experience. And I love including multi-generations in these activities, because
absolutely,
when grandma and grandpa, aunt, uncle come to visit, what often happens without activities like this is the grown-ups just talk over here, and the kids talk over here, and then you go. And that was that. But it's so wonderful having these intergenerational family history activities, because it brings everyone together.
It brings the people together who are living, and it brings people together across the veil. Yep. So in the another idea, and this isn't a very specific idea, but this is something that I thought about early on. If culture, family culture, if you think about a country and the things that a country does, or a state, or an ethnicity does to perpetuate their culture, a lot of those things you can steal for your own family culture. If you think about, when you say someone's Italian, well, what does it mean? Well, you think Italian food. They have food that's specific to their culture. Or you think they have holidays that are specific to them, or dress, or language. If the outside culture is stronger than your family culture, then that's what's going to raise your children. So you need to shore up your family culture, make it real strong. So can you think of family food that is specific to your family, or family dress, or phrases and language, or holidays? I made a perpetual calendar of events from my ancestry. And so every year, right around, March 7th, you flip it over and it says, this is the day upon which the Barneses became Americans. We came across the Atlantic Ocean. And so you remember, this is, for us, it's kind of a holiday. Not for anyone else is it a holiday. The kids at school will say, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? It's a holiday? No. But you'll go out and do something neat or nice, or you'll have a special dinner and you'll talk about it because it's a holiday specific to your culture, your family culture. Different foods at Christmas time will have Swedish foods because we have Swedish ancestry, or their favorite cookies that Charlotte's father always loved. And she'll always remind the kids, your grandfather loved these cookies, they were his favorite cookies. Those are the things that make a national culture strong, and they're the same type of things that can make your family culture strong.
You two are so amazing at this. How did you think of all these ideas? Did they just, you're just so inspired.
Well, we stole half of them from Family History Guide.com. I can't keep it in anymore. I can't live with the guilt. That's not true. I'm just kidding.
No, honestly, when we were writing this book, the heavens opened. This is something that's really important to our Father in heaven. That people's hearts are turned, and it's turning little hearts, because when their hearts are turned when they're young, they get those benefits, and then when they're old enough to do research and do temple work for their ancestors, they already love their ancestors and they already care. So we just felt from the beginning of this project that Holy Father was behind it, and we have seen it through and through, that he is getting it, and that he's blessing his children, and we just love that.
Yeah, start early.
Absolutely. Yes, such a good idea, and you are so good at it. Thank you for writing that book. Now, I know it's available. Do you want to tell us where people can find it?
Sure. Yeah. So it's actually on sale right now at the publisher's website, cedarfort.com. Cedar like the tree, cedarfort.com. And you can, so it's, the book is on sale. You can also get a digital download of the whole thing for $1.99.
Whoa, that's amazing. That is really amazing. Look at this,
Yeah,
everyone.
the
It's
whole
just
thing.
like
Yeah.
all
The
those
whole thing
ideas.
for $1.99.
It's still more expensive than familyhistoryguide.com. I'm just saying. Still more expensive.
And it's also a Deseret, it's also a Desert Book Seagull book. It's at some Costco's in Idaho and Utah and Arizona. So
yay. Wow. So what else would you like to share about, how can they find you? Let's just make sure we know where they can find on Facebook, Instagram.
Well,
Yes,
we've
Turning
got a
Little Hearts
Facebook and
on
Instagram
Facebook,
account.
TurningLittleHearts.com.
Mhm.
Or
we won't give our address.
No.
we'll probably be
I have a lot of people sitting at dinner with you, just watching you.
we'll probably be at Roots Tech
Yes,
again.
if Roots Tech is live and in person 2022 in February, we will totally be there.
We have another book that could be forthcoming.
Well, it is forthcoming. I signed the contract this morning.
Okay, yes.
So watch for
Yes,
that. A second
What
book.
is it?
Yes.
Can you tell us?
Well, it is a companion book to Turning Little Hearts, obviously, with what we love. And it's a picture book called I Am My Ancestors.
Just trying to give ideas for stories. Just tell your children stories. Tell stories.
Yeah.
We can't overemphasize the power of stories, can we?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No. Oh, I'm excited for that. That is wonderful. You two, thank you so much for being with us. Is there anything that you want to let us know, and maybe just tell us a success that you have seen happen in your family because you concentrate on this so devotedly?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first, I'll tell the story and then I'll say one last thing. So our son in 3rd grade was, they had to teach the class presentation that everyone had to plan. And so each of the class had to come up with an idea of what they want to teach and teach the whole class. So some kids taught chess or origami, or told them how to do a painting or whatever. And our 3rd grader, Samuel, he decided to share the story of his great-grandfather, Merrill. Actually, we have his little plaque right here. He was a World War II pilot. Yeah. So there's his plane. There's a picture of him, and he's a hero. I'm sorry for the reflection. He's a hero in our family culture. And so Samuel took this plaque to class and told the story.
And he could remember every story. I remember him telling it back to me, and I thought, wow. I mean, he soaked up everything because it was in a story form. It wasn't just telling him names and dates. It was a story. And it stuck with him real well. And to this day, he remembers it all real well.
Yeah. And so in front of his whole class, he got to share this meaningful story. And that's how the class saw him, is this guy who was connected to his family and had a really cool story. And they remembered him forever like that. So that's a neat story about.
Oh, I love that. And I'm sure you're full of so many more stories and successes. Thank you so much. We need to have you back. I mean, this is very short time. I know you have so much to share.
Sure.
And I just want to end with telling our listeners, first of all, thank you for joining in. And also, you can do this.
You can do this.
Heavenly Father wants you to do this. He wants you to have the benefits of knowing your family history. He wants you to be connected. And so whatever effort you put forward, he will magnify and you will love it. And it'll get easier and better the more you do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we have people who have joined us from Madagascar and Mongolia, many of the states.
Wow.
This will go out there, and hopefully people will use your book and use your ideas and strengthen their family bonds through family history. We invite all of our viewers to share this video, and it will always be available on High Five Live and their video channel, on YouTube channel, and on their page. And we thank you again for being with us. You two are just incredible, and you're doing so much good. So much
Our
good,
pleasure.
especially with those 6 little kids. And what ages are they? What ages are your kids?
3 to 11.
I don't know.
3 to 11.
One of them's 5.
Today. Yes.
One of them's 5, I think. Somewhere around there.
I just think they are very blessed children to be in your house and in your home and to have you for parents. And thank you again for all you do. And please join us again for High Five Live. And we appreciate you and have a great day to all of our viewers and to the Barnes. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.